guys, welcome back. It is me, Mrs. Burkett, and Miss Patton, your favorite first and second grade teachers in the whole widest world. We are back here today reading Magic Tree Houses number 12, Polar Bears Past Bedtime. Remember, you guys all have a copy of this book and the fact tracker that Jack and Annie are reading, thanks to our friends at First Book. So, yay, thank you, First Book. Here we go. Chapter 4, Snow House. The dog's sled skimmed silently over the frozen tundra. The seal hunter ran alongside it. Sometimes he cracked his whip against the ice. The snowdrifts looked like giant white sculptures as the sun slipped behind the frozen hills. Then a full orange moon rose in the sky. The moonlight lit a small, rounded igloo in front of them. The dog slowed, then stopped. Jack stepped off the sled. Annie went to help unhitch the dogs. Jack took out his book to read about the igloos. The word igloo means house in the language of the native Arctic people. Those are the Inuit. The house is built with blocks of snow. Dry snow is good wall material because it helps keep in the heat. The temperature inside an igloo can be 65 degrees warmer than the temperature outside. That's a lot warmer, guys. Yeah. Jack took out his notebook. He pulled off his mitten just long enough to write. Igloo means house. Come on, Jack, said Annie. She and the seal hunter were waiting for him in front of the igloo. The dogs were leashed together outside. Jack hurried to join them. The hunter pushed aside the animal skins covering the entrance, and they slipped inside. A fat candle was burning brightly. Shadows danced on the walls of ice and snow. Jack and Annie sat on a fur-covered platform. They watched as the seal hunter moved about. First, he lit a small stove. Then he slipped outside. He came back in with a snowball and chunks of frozen meat. He put the snowball in the pot over the stove, and then he added the meat. What's he making? Asked Annie. Jack pulled out his book and found a picture of the hunter cooking. He and Annie read the words silently. There was a time, pretend it's silent. There was a time when nearly all of the Arctic people's food and clothing and tools came from Arctic animals, especially the seal. Nearly every part of the seal could be eaten. Lamps were fueled with seal fat. Clothing was made from seal skin, and knives and needles were carved with seal bones. He must be boiling the seal meat, said Jack. Those poor seals, said Annie. And probably we know which friend of ours really doesn't like polar bears because they eat the seals. Talking to you, friend. Those poor seals, said Annie. The seal hunter looked up. They are not poor, he said. They help us because they know we would die without them. Oh, said Annie. In return, we always thank the animal spirits, said the seal hunter. How do you do that? Asked Jack. We have many special ceremonies, said the seal hunter. He reached under the fur-covered platform and took out 2 wooden masks. Soon there will be a ceremony to honor the spirit of the polar bear. I carved these masks for the ceremony. Polar bears? Said Annie. Yes, said the hunter. Oh, I should show you guys that picture. Here we go. Polar bears? Said Annie. Yes, said the hunter. Just as the seal has given us many gifts, so has the polar bear. Like what? Said Jack. Long ago, the polar bear taught us how to live in the ice and snow, said the seal hunter. Taught you? Said Jack. I mean, can you give us some facts? Jack wants the facts. The seal hunter smiled. Yes, he said. A polar bear catches a seal when the seal comes up to breathe through a hole in the ice. The oldest seal hunters watched the polar bear and learned. This is how my father taught me to hunt seal and how his father taught him. That's a good fact, said Jack. The very first of my people learned to make igloos from polar bear, said the hunter. Polar bears build snow houses by digging caves in the drifts. That's another good fact, said Jack. Sometimes the polar bear can even teach people to fly, said the hunter. That's an amazing fact, said Annie. Jack smiled. The rest sounded like true facts, but that's pretend. The hunter just laughed and turned his back to his cooking. The seal hunter lifted the chunks of boiled seal out of his pot. Probably really hot on your hands there, seal hunter. He dropped them into a wooden bucket and gave it to Annie. Let's feed the dogs, he said. Oh boy, said Annie. She followed the hunter outside, swinging the bucket. Jack quickly threw his notebook and the Arctic book into his pack. He started to follow them. Then his gaze fell onto the two polar bear masks. He picked them up just to get a better look. Each was carved with the shape of a polar bear's face, with a blunt nose and roundish ears. There were 2 holes for the eyes and a strap to hold it onto your head. Suddenly, howls split the air. The dogs were barking and growling. Annie squealed. Are the dogs attacking her, Jack wondered? Annie! Luna's not going to attack. Still holding the bear masks, Jack charged out of the igloo. Well, guys, that is a cliffhanger. What do you think's out there, Miss Tatman?
I don't know, something that scared Annie.
Scared her. Do you think it's the dogs attacking her? Did they turn on her?
No, because Luna would never attack me. And they seem like very good dogs.
They do, yeah. They seem like they really love their owner, the seal hunter.
Yeah.
I wonder what his name is, though. It seems odd they didn't give him a name. It's just the seal hunter.
That does seem odd.
The book references polar bear masks, and the ones shown in the book are not accurate. These are 3 different masks that Inuit people have created to represent the polar bear. You'll notice they look a lot different than the ones in the book, and that's okay. The illustrator took artistic license for those, but we thought that you should see what some examples would really look like. Which one's your favorite? Which one do you think would be best for the situation?